You know, I thought long and hard whether or not I wanted to go live with this. But after delving deep into this state of the sport address, I mean, after I saw the excerpts from it, I was physically ill. Physically ill from what I just read. But one thing is for damn sure, the people in charge of this company, they're fucking brain dead, is what they are. So, welcome to the field and the second ever edition of Breaking News. I hope you're ready for a fucking rant, because I'm gonna go off. This video is sponsored by Dubby Jitterless Energy Blend. Click on the link in the description and use the code PackerMan to save 10% on any order. Welcome in to this out of the blue live edition of The Fuel. In about 2 hours will be the first of 3 championship finales. And that's the Truck Series. And then tomorrow at around 7 is the Xfinity Series. And then I think at like 3:30 or somewhere around there on Sunday is the Cup Series finale. And honestly, at this point, I honestly can't wait to get through this weekend and just be done with NASCAR for the rest of this year. And take a nice long fucking break from having to do these reviews. Because after what I read from the State of the Sport address from the two Steves, the two jerkwads, the two clowns that run this fucking company, Steve Phelps and Steve O'Donnell. What I read from that fucking State of the Sport address, it made me physically ill. It made me want to puke. Because there is just so much from that State of the Sport address that I take exception with. And one thing in particular that really fucking pisses me off, and you could probably guess what that is. Like, I just don't know about this fucking company anymore. I really don't. Other than the fact that its leadership is fucking brain dead. Out of touch. Old generic fucks. The whole 9 yards. Because if this is the type of bullshit that they're going to peddle, then there's just no fucking hope for this company anymore. You know, I look at the shit that they were peddling in that State of the Sport address, and it's like, why the fuck am I even covering this shit anymore? Why do we even fucking bother covering this fucking bullshit? You know, I want so desperately for this sport to get back to the heights that it once did, but it just seems like NASCAR higher ups are not willing to change their ways. And if that's truly the case, then maybe this company is better off just fucking burning to the ground. Because if this is the type of stupid fucking bullshit that they're going to try to shove down our throats, then I don't want any part of it. So, how about we get started with this shit? So, Jeff Gluck basically covered everything. He put in all the talking points. So, he says that driver star power and storyline seem to be the most discussed topic this year. No, that's not really the case. Because what should be the most talked about point this year is the fact that, I mean, this has been one of those years where, I mean, you want to talk about one of the most controversial seasons on record with all the injuries and all the dumb shit that's been going down. You know, the lack of fucking respect out there on the racetrack right now. The fact that the playoffs are still being debated about whether or not they should be in the sport. We'll get to that. That's the last thing we're going to talk about, and you'll understand why that is. And yeah, we'll get to that. So, they were asked about any new manufacturers coming in, because right now the only three that are in the sport are Chevy, Ford, and Toyota. Nodano says there's certainly interest. The challenge remains for us what engine package we're going to be running, specifically around Cup. Says the current manufacturers are open to changes. Odano is going to Japan next week to discuss hydrogen racing. Yeah, I don't know about, you know, the whole fucking using hydrogen as a fuel. That seems like a big risk. Because isn't hydrogen a lot more dangerous to use as a racing fuel than regular unleaded gasoline? I don't know. And then O'Donnell on stage breaks set road courses continuing in 2024. 99% there will be some type of stage breaks. But says there could be some tweaks on strategy / points. O'Donnell says the electric car NASCAR developed at R&D Center is not planned to be used in an EV series right now. So here's the first thing that I really took exception with. And that's the fact that they're going to bring back stage breaks for all the road courses in 2024. Let's just make road course racing complete fucking trash, I mean, let's not forget the fact that the Circuit of the Americas race had the fucking potential to be to be a classic fucking race had we not had all those stupid shenanigans at the end of it. I mean, fuck the stage breaks. I mean, they ride around for 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 laps, and for what? For fucking commercials? It's fucking nonsense. Like, I'm fine with having stages, but this fucking stage break bullshit needs to go. It's fucking nonsense. I would like to have some fucking ebb and flow, natural ebb and flow to a race, thank you very much. Where we can actually get some fucking strategies. Anyway. Who is responsible for fixing the driver star power problem? Phelps says it's everyone. NASCAR, race teams, drivers themselves, and racetracks. He says the key is to set up a framework for that. O'Donnell, we're not going to be a soap opera, we're a sport, but says they need to improve storytelling. I like how Phelps is kind of passing the buck, to the race teams, the drivers themselves on the racetracks, for the lack of star power. No, it comes from the fact that you're not promoting your fucking product well enough. And then O'Donnell says, we're not going to be a soap opera, we're a sport. Really? Because it seems like you like to drum up all this fucking manufactured soap opera bullshit with this playoff format. And a sport? It certainly doesn't feel like the fucking sport that I once knew and loved. That I've watched for over 30 fucking years. Anyway, Steve Phelps confirms the pictures floating around of Fontana's in-progress demolition are real. He says NASCAR is still planning on building a short track there, but this isn't the best time to be building based on cost, so there's no timeline. Well, then why the fuck are you even demoing it to begin with? Oh, here's another fucking, here's another fucking gem. Asked about inconsistent, incorrect calls from the NASCAR tower this year, O'Donnell says, I'd put our officials up against any sport in the world. What? Like, are you fucking serious? He says there are no timeouts, no shit. And when there are mistakes, they're upfront about it. We're not going to get everything right. Of course you're not. Because 95% of the fucking time you get it wrong. I mean, don't get me wrong. The officiating in a lot of sports right now is dog shit. But right now, I would put NASCAR at the top of the fucking list. Because if there's one thing that NASCAR officialdom is known for, it's being consistently inconsistent. And a lot of times their calls are fucking bullshit. Get the fuck out of here with that. Anyway. Steve O'Donnell says Iowa was not a replacement for Montreal. Oh yeah, right. He says there was interest on both sides to do Montreal, probably a little quick to make Montreal happen, and says it was a little bit of a pause. Are you fucking kidding me? Give me a fucking break. You knew a lot of people wanted to have Circuit Gilles Villeneuve on the fucking calendar. I mean, myself included. Okay, if you would have been able to put Montreal on the Cup schedule, that instantly would have shot up to the top of the list of the fucking races that I would be looking forward to next year. Because I watched all 6 of the Xfinity races there from 2007 to 2013. 2012, 2013. And every single one of them races were fucking bangers. They were race of the year candidates. And then NASCAR stupidly decided to take it off the calendar for whatever fucking reason. So now we hear the rumors about Montreal possibly being back not only on the Xfinity calendar next year, but also in Cup. And then the schedule comes out, and it turns out it's Iowa. Who the fuck cares about Iowa Speedway? It's basically a carbon copy of Richmond. Like, NASCAR hasn't had a fucking race there in any of its series in almost 5 years. Like, are you fucking kidding me? So don't give me this fucking Iowa was not a replacement bullshit. You needed a track that could fill the slot that Auto Club left behind, and Montreal, for whatever reason, you couldn't get the deal done, so you decided to just go to Iowa just because. Like, when that schedule was released, you want to talk about a fucking disappointment. That schedule release was. Like, what the fuck is that schedule? Like, holy shit. A lot of potential completely fucking wasted. How to fix short tracks. O'Donnell says NASCAR is open to everything, including increased horsepower. But short term, we are going to look at shifting and aero with the underbody. Well, I mean, the increased horsepower would certainly help. I mean, it would be nice because, you know, we want our good short track racing back that we had before this fucking car came into being. Steve O'Donnell says NASCAR will continue to look at short tracks and road courses. Drivers in Goodyear will meet later this afternoon to talk about improvements. O'Donnell heralds the safety improvements of next-gen car compared to last year, but calls it an endless journey. To be fair, the safety of the car has improved. I will give it that. Steve Phelps says there's been tremendous interest in obtaining NASCAR's TV rights. He thought the deals would be done by now, but he says the process is getting closer to completion. Read. Charter negotiations, he believes progress is being made, but won't go into specifics. So, it seems like there is interest in NASCAR's TV rights, which is a good thing. But they didn't really say anything about the negotiations between the teams and NASCAR in terms of the revenue sharing. So I would imagine that's still ongoing. And I don't know if we're going to see a resolution to that anytime soon. Oh, and now here we come to the final 2 things that I want to talk about. Steve Phelps says sellouts are up 50% this year, which is true. We've actually seen a lot more sellouts than we have in recent years. The thing about that, though, is that these tracks have a lot smaller seating nowadays, since the popularity of the sport has kind of tumbled. They've basically taken seating out, so they have a smaller attendance figure. So yeah, it's a little bit easier to sell out now, considering that a lot of these tracks don't have the same type of seating capacity that they used to. But fair is fair. Phelps says TV ratings are down mid-single digits, but they'll be up next year because much of that was weather impacted. Weather impacted. Yeah. Mm. That's not entirely true. Because, yes, there have been quite a few races this year, especially during the summer, that were affected by weather. But we haven't had a weather affected race in a couple months. And you want to tell me how the television audience was for Martinsville last week? The audience was 2.1 million viewers. And it was down from 2.5 million last year. That's a 13% drop. That's not mid-single digits. That's double digits. So it feels like that there's some untruthfulness to that. But Steve Phelps says NASCAR has the best racing in the world and the most competitive racing in the world. I mean, it is kind of true. I mean, the parity the last couple years has improved dramatically. I mean, the parity this year is nowhere near where it was last year. I mean, last year was absolutely fucking insane in terms of the parity. Fire alarm still beeping. Yeah, that's my fucking my smoke detector. I think the battery's dying in it, so I gotta get it replaced. I apologize for that. I'll get it fixed sometime this weekend, hopefully. But I can see where that's annoying. Because I fixed it once before, and now it's doing it again. But I mean, as far as the competitiveness of the sport, yeah, I mean, I could see where he could say that. But but now so is NASCAR trying to go electric? I don't know what the hell they're doing. Because they said they're going to Japan to test out hydrogen racing or some shit. So I don't know if they're going to a hydrogen based fuel, which I don't know if that's a good idea. I mean, if they do start an electric series, it shouldn't be a part of the Cup series or anything of that nature. It should be its own fucking series, like the FIA does with Formula E. You know, have it be its own series. Yeah, because I don't think a lot of people want to see electric cars in the Cup series. But, you know, I'll have to take a wait and see approach on that one. But now we've come to the part that has really brought my piss to a boil. As for people who think the playoffs are gimmicky, it's not. It's an incredible playoff system that rewards the best drivers in the sport. It would be a waste of money either way. Probably. These two fucking clowns Steve Phelps and Steve O'Donnell actually had the unmitigated gall to say that the playoff system is not a gimmick. And basically dismissed anybody that said otherwise. And that it's an incredible playoff system that rewards the best drivers in the sport. Are you fucking kidding me? Do these stupid motherfuckers even pay attention to what the fuck is going on? You know how many races this year have had down TV ratings from the previous year in the playoffs? 8 out of 9 races. 8 out of 9 races have had a downturn in viewership compared to last year. And the other one just barely broke even. I swear to God, the higher-ups of this company are fucking brain dead. But then again, am I surprised? Like, these are the same motherfuckers that worked under Brian France and they drunk the fucking Kool-Aid that he brought in. I mean, it's no wonder that these two motherfuckers have a serious case of brain rot. They're just salesmen. Yeah, exactly. Because what the fuck else are they going to say? And they're not going to admit that the playoffs are fucking trash. And they're probably never going to get rid of the playoffs as long as both of them are alive. You know why? Because then, if we ever went back to the full season format, they would basically be admitting that the playoffs were a failure this entire time. And if there's one thing that I know about NASCAR, they fucking hate it. They fucking hate to admit when they're wrong. They can't stand it. And going back to the full season format, that would be basically them admitting defeat. They would be admitting that this playoff format is a pile of fucking garbage. I mean, when you have longtime drivers like Kevin Harvick, 2020, he had an insane average finish of like 7.3 or some crazy shit like that. It was either 7.3 or 9.3 or it was something fucking insane. Yet he was not allowed to race in the championship 4, didn't make it in. And afterwards he said, these championships don't mean as much as they used to. I'd rather just go out and win races. And yes, next gen, I agree. And it's like, you hear what Harvick said? He said, these championships don't mean as much as they used to. I'd rather just go out and win races. That's fucking blasphemy. Like, are you fucking serious? Like, the championship shouldn't be seen as nothing more than a fucking bonus that you earn at the end of the year. A championship is supposed to be the fucking pinnacle of your sport. Like, why do you think people get into sports to begin with, to get into competitive sports to begin with? They want to be a champion. They want to be recognized as a fucking champion. Like, that is like the ultimate goal. And when it suddenly doesn't become the ultimate goal, there's a fucking problem. And yet you'll have fucking dick suckers like Austin Kokinski or whatever the fuck his name is, who, I mean, you want to talk about a fucking moron of the nth degree. Because he is far and away against the fucking current against a full season format. This is what he posted after the United States Grand Prix. And of course, he immediately deleted it. Because either A, he was getting a lot of back blow for it, or B, he realized how fucking stupid it was. Because F1 is significantly down at COTA. That's what happens in a full season format with a very dominant driver in Max Verstappen. That's what he literally posted. And after that, it was a shrug emoji. That's what he literally posted after someone posted the viewership for the U.S. Grand Prix. It scored 882,000 viewers, which was down from 1.3 million from last year. And he actually had the fucking unmitigated gall to say, that's what happens in a full season format with a very dominant driver in Max Verstappen. The full season format isn't the fucking problem. Okay, the problem is the lack of parity in Formula One, which, let's be honest here, lack of parity in Formula One has always been an issue in Formula One since its inception. There's always been that one team and that one driver that just completely fucking dominates a season. Now, in retrospect, that also means that, you know, when we do get great seasons, then they are basically elevated as some of the best seasons of all time. I mean, why do you think people still talk about the 1976 season? Hell, that season was so damn good, it had an entire fucking movie based on it. You know, the 2008 season that came down to the very last race, the very last lap, the very last turn to determine the champion. That still gets talked about. 2021 was an incredible season, at least until Michael Massey fucked up the very end of it. Lack of parity in Formula One is what the big issue is, not the season format. And the problem with Red Bull and Max Verstappen and how dominant they've been the last 2 years, it's that it's the worst it's ever been. And it couldn't have come at a worse time when you have Formula One trying to get a foothold in the U.S. finally. You know, especially with that fucking program that they got on Netflix and whatnot that drew in a lot of viewers, but now they're losing them again because, quite frankly, you got a team and a driver that's just way too fucking dominant. And the problem with that is when a motorsport starts to become way too predictable, people start tuning out by the handfuls. Because one of motorsports' biggest draws is its unpredictability. If you don't know who's going to win on a particular day, and that's NASCAR's biggest advantage over Formula One, is its unpredictability. When you don't know who the fuck's going to win on a particular day, that's what makes it more enticing. That's what makes it more intriguing to watch. Not this fucking Formula One bullshit that we have to deal with now with Red Bull and Max Verstappen. And it just seems like the FIA just wants to sit on their fucking hands and do nothing. Which is fucking foolish of them. And then you'll have other people saying, well, you have to win where it counts. I mean, if you can't win when the chips are down, then you don't deserve to be champion. Yeah, well, the problem with that is the fact that you can win by sheer goddamn accident in motorsports. Not to mention that this one race championship bullshit is just begging for Mother Nature to come in and completely fuck the whole thing up one day. A lot of people say, well, it's in Phoenix. So, I mean, after the final race was over in 2020, rain came in and absolutely drenched the track. And let's not forget 2015, Dale Jr.'s final career victory was at Phoenix in a rain-shortened race. The only time in his entire NASCAR career where he had a rain-shortened victory. Can you believe that? I like your NASCAR coverage. It's one of the only channels that doesn't have an agenda. Well, I do kind of have an agenda, but it's not like some of these other fucking people that just want to shove the same old shit down your throat. My agenda is I want what's best for the fucking sport. I just want to see good fucking racing without all this backstage political bullshit just infiltrating everything. And this is what fucking pisses me off about Steve O'Donnell and Steve Phelps. These fucking cancerous motherfuckers. They're nothing but a fucking cancer to NASCAR. They're nothing but a fucking cancer to motorsports. Because if they're that fucking ignorant to say that the playoff format is the best possible path forward for NASCAR, then you know what? Maybe this company should just burn to the fucking ground. Because that's all they're going to fucking do is run this company into the ground. Because they don't seem to fucking realize that this format is killing the fucking sport. It is actively hurting stock car racing. And it's fucking frustrating because... One second. You think it's by design or just incompetence? I don't even know at this point. I don't even know, but I'm honestly thinking it's a combination of both. Because, I mean, how can they not see how the fucking viewership is going down year after year after year? And they can't with this format because it's like, we want to have a Game 7 moment every single year. Yeah, well, the problem with that is, when you try to have a Game 7 moment every single year, and they all feel the same, all of a sudden they all just bleed together, and now none of them are fucking special. Like, how many moments in the championship race have actually been memorable in the last 10 fucking years? I know some people might be like, well, what about the Hail Melon? That was not in the championship race. That was the week before the championship race. And then what the fuck did that do for the championship race? Absolutely nothing. In fact, I mean, it's just... if it's both, we're screwed. I honestly think it is. Because, I mean... and honestly, the seeds of this whole fucking thing all came about at the end of 2003. Because we were at the tail end of NASCAR basically being a fad. Because it had brought in, casual racing fans. And NASCAR was just booming in popularity from the 90s into the early 2000s. But then its popularity began to go back down. Because, when you throw a ball up in the air, it's got to come back down at some point. And that's the same thing with the popularity of sports. There's always them ebbs and flows. I mean, if NASCAR would have just stayed the course and just, kept with the full season format and not try to do all these fucking stupid ass gimmicks, they probably would have had ratings that would have fallen back to what they saw in the 80s, early 90s. The boom would have ended, but all of the hardcore fans that loved NASCAR would have still been there. And Marcus just came in and took the words right out of my fucking mouth. Brian France didn't want the great times to end and destroyed what his father and grandfather had built. He took the words right out of my fucking mouth. That was exactly what I was going to say. They didn't want the great times to end, so they bent over backwards to try to bring those fans back. And look what's happened. NASCAR's ratings are at an all-time low. And they keep saying that there are there's interest in the TV ratings. My question is, how much are these television networks are actually going to be asking for them? Because I'll guarantee you, with the ratings as low as they are, they're not going to get the amount of money that they got for those TV rights deals the previous time. I think the previous time was like somewhere in the neighborhood of 800 million to $1 billion between Fox and NBC. I don't know if they're going to get that this time around. Not with their ratings as low as they are right now. Especially during what is supposed to be, the Game 7 moments, but fans don't give a fuck. Because a lot of these fans are seeing through this fucking format for what it is. A complete, fabricated, manufactured pile of shit. And the problem is, the people in charge are too fucking blind, ignorant, stubborn, or a combination of all that to see it. And it's going to end up killing this fucking company. And it's absolutely fucking frustrating because, you look at what they've been trying to do with the schedule. Before they started doing all the fucking schedule changes here in the 2020s, the Cup schedule was stagnant as fuck. Like, I remember at one point where they actually released the next year's schedule in March because it was just that much in concrete. Like, that's ridiculous. Of course, this year's schedule reveal was an absolute fucking disappointment because they waited all the way to October to release that damn schedule. I'm thinking, wow, this must be quite the shakeup. And we take one look at that schedule, and it's just like, huh? This is what we waited all this time for? A lot of us were expecting Montreal to be on the schedule, and I would have been like, fuck yeah! I want Montreal on the schedule. I remember the Xfinity Series racing there. It was the fucking shit. But no, we're going to Iowa. Like, Iowa hasn't been on a NASCAR schedule in 5 years. Why the fuck would we care about Iowa? It's basically just a fucking carbon copy of Richmond. I just don't know. It just seems like the higher-ups in NASCAR are just not willing to change their ways. And if that's truly the case, then I don't think they should expect any growth from this company either. The only thing I see is a slow and painful death for this company because their higher-ups just can't seem to get their fucking heads out of their ass. Now, granted, changing just, here's the thing. It's like Slapshoes said in his video about the NASCAR playoff. Changing one thing, going back to a full season format isn't going to fix the tailspin of popularity that NASCAR is in. Because like he said, that ship sailed years ago. But what it can do is rebuild the dam of legitimacy. Because right now, it just feels like the series championship is nothing more than a bonus that you get at the end of the year. It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't feel that way. The championship should be considered the pinnacle of your sport. And when it ceases to be that, that's when you're screwed. that's when you know your sport is fucking screwed. And so it's been for 10 years. I can't fucking believe we have dealt with this godforsaken format for 10 years now. Not to mention the fact that I am honestly convinced at this point that NASCAR tells all the non-championship drivers in the Championship 4 to not go for the race win. And I honestly think they let the Championship 4 teams skeet through with some less than legal parts on the cars. I'm honestly convinced of that at this point because there was a very interesting stat that I saw that made me go, huh. Because every single fucking year of this format in the Cup Series, all 9 champions also ended up winning the final race of the year. You know how many times that happened between 1958 and 2013? 4. 4 times the eventual champion also won the last race of the year. And now all of a sudden, the eventual champion has won the last race of the year 9 years in a row? Yeah, that's not fucking fishy at all. NASCAR needs to get their shit together. I mean, you could see the fucking polarizing reaction that this state of the sport address has caused on social media. I mean, it's like, why even have a state of the sport address to begin with when it's just going to be this fucking polarizing? Shit needs to change, or this sport is going to end before we even... it's going to fucking go under before we even realize it. You know, I just want to watch some good racing without all the backstage politics. You know, that's all I really want to fucking do. And without all this stupid ass fucking gimmicky bullshit that we've been saddled with. I mean, literally every other motorsport uses the full season format. And it's proven to work quite fucking well. You know, and it's like Slapshoe said, so many of NASCAR's problems today stem from trying to reinvent the wheel. So for once, how about we go back to what actually works? Because it's like he said, what do we honestly have to lose at this point? But anyway, that's all for this video. I just wanted to get on here and rant about that. It's like Garrett217 said in his video, NASCAR over the last 10 years, they've tried their hardest to make sure that everybody can win. When everybody gets one win and one championship, it don't mean anything. It honestly doesn't. I mean, the championship, I mean, it's lost ever since they brought this fucking format into existence. The championship has lost a lot of its luster. It's not the pinnacle of NASCAR anymore, and that's just fucking blasphemy as far as I'm concerned. The championship should be considered the pinnacle of your sport, and when it ceases to be that, then you're doing it wrong. And that's how I feel about that. But that's going to do it for this edition of The Fuel. 3 more reviews to get through. We can finally be done with this fucking season. And I'm ready to be done. I'm ready for a break. So I need a break from this fucking company anyways. But Next Gen Marcus, thanks for coming in and basically watch me fucking blow a gasket for the last hour. I just needed to get all that shit off my chest because, my God, that State of the Sport address made me want to fucking vomit. Oh my God. But about an hour from now, we got the Truck Series finale. Hopefully it's a good one and it doesn't end with a fucking green-white checker like it always seems to. But thank you very much for watching this edition of The Fuel. And until next time, this is the PackerMan signing out. See you later. What's happening? The channel. There's one down in the below. If you want to content, thank you very much. And until. And OBS goes fucking crazy. So let's try this again. One more time from the top. What's happening, ladies and germs? Thank you for watching tonight's video. If you're interested in sponsoring the channel, there is a link to my Patreon down in the description box below. Otherwise, hit like and subscribe if you want to continue watching great content like you saw today. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, this is the PackerMan signing out.